Damn, son, where'd you find this?
People don't be offended by the truth. They be offended because you called out the truth. Simple as that. They don't want to hear any other narrative that makes them look bad.
One thing I can't stand at this big grown age is somebody who act like cause and effect does not exist. Like, yes, your actions caused this outcome. Yes, what you did lit the match. Like, why are you surprised and playing victim?
Guys, Chico, they never lied.
That's how you know somebody doesn't respect you. They listen to reply, not to be understood. They cut you off. They minimize what actually matters to you. They laugh at your boundaries, and then they call you sensitive when you try to hold the line. They show up late. They cancel last minute, forget the things you've told them, because in their world, your time, your energy, even your voice aren't a priority. They're just an option. You see, there are two kinds of people. Those who adjust when they realize they've actually hurt you, and those who expect you to adjust so they don't have to change. You don't need to be disrespected loudly to be disrespected deeply. Sometimes you'll see it. It's just in their tone, in their patterns, in the silence after you're known. Respect isn't what they say when they're watching. It's how they act when they think you'll tolerate it.
Yo, 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 yo. What's up? What's up? What's up? Peace and blessings. Glory, praise, and honor to the Most High. Happy New Year's, peoples, 2026. We back. We live. How y'all feeling? How was your beginning? Did you do what you said you was going to do? Did you cut them people off? Did you walk away from that BS that you said you was going to walk away from? I hope so. I thank y'all for being here. Humbly grateful. I got Zay in the building. I got Coach in the building. Shout outs to my poets, my writers, my content creators. You see the title. We're going to talk about it. Let me bring everybody up to the big screen. Make sure y'all go show them some love and support. We got a lot to talk about. Only the way we know how. Coach Zay, what up? What up? What up? What up?
What up? What up? What up? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's, guys.
All right, man. I feel the energy. Y'all good? Feeling healthy? All that? All right.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Feeling good, looking good. Let's get it on.
All right, you see the title, man. Stefon Diggs stuck his foot in his mouth. We got to talk about it. Let me bring this up on a big screen, man. I'm going to let this rock out. We're going to do what we do. This is a little extra for the people who not familiar with the story. Y'all might be familiar with it, but just in case you're not, this is a quick little summary, recap whatsoever. And yeah, let's get it.
We learned that Stefon Diggs has been charged with strangulation, assault, and battery. Let's get into the case. So according to the police report, the alleged victim was working for Stefon Diggs as a chef, and she says that she wasn't getting paid. And so she spoke up and was like, give me my money. She says that she confronted him about the payment. He entered the room, they argued, and she alleges that he slapped her across the face. She says that she tried to push him away, and then he allegedly choked her from behind using the crook of his elbow around her neck, and she was having trouble breathing. Now let's see if the charges match with the allegations. Choking someone and restricting their breathing, strangulation, that's a felony in, if not every state, in most photos. That slap to the face, that's assault and battery. Boom, very easy. So at a minimum, those charges track with what she's saying happened. Now, I do want to talk about where the defense attorneys are going to focus. She says that she did not take any photos of her injury. She has no pictures. And so the defense is going to argue, yeah, she has no photos because there is no injury, because there was no incident, nothing happened. Timing is another issue because the incident allegedly happened on December 2nd. She didn't report it to the police until December 16th. That's a 14-day delay. And so the defense attorneys are going to be like, well, why did you wait so long? If you were so injured and hurt and shaken up, why didn't you go to the police? Is it because you needed some more time to get your stories together? Did you want to try to do a shakedown on my client? When the shakedown didn't work, then you went to the police to make up these allegations. The defense is absolutely going to have something to say about that 14-day delay. And when she did go to the police, she said she did not want to press charges. And that's not completely out of the ordinary. A lot of times people go to the police just because they want documentation. They want a police report, maybe to bolster their evidence later. I mean, if she got assaulted by Stefon Diggs, she probably was going to prepare for a lawsuit later to get paid, not only for the chef services that she provided to him, but for her injuries as well. I don't know. But once you report something like this, the police decide if they want to investigate and press charges or not. It's above you at that point. Now, some of the documentation she does have on her side are these text messages located in the police report. These text messages seem to back up her story that there was some sort of dispute about payment. And I think Stefon Diggs looks horrendous in these messages. Very nasty, very, very rude. However, being nasty and rude to somebody in text messages and slapping them and choking them are two different things. One of those things is not like the other. One of those things is a crime and one of those things is not a crime. Now, this next part could hurt her or help her. She says that she texted Diggs about getting paid and he said, go deal with my assistant. And the assistant said, yeah, we'll give you your money after you sign a non-disclosure agreement. Now, listen, I'm not Olivia Pope from Scandal, but I didn't think you could use a non-disclosure agreement to cover up criminal conduct. If this woman can prove that the assistant tried to get her to sign an NDA to cover up criminal conduct, she has great evidence for her case. But on the flip side, right, Stefon Diggs and his attorneys are going to say, no, we wanted her to sign the non-disclosure agreement because there was this dispute about money and we don't want it out there that our client potentially does not pay people that he hires. And so they definitely have a PR spin that they can use on this. What I do know is that at some point, the chef did change her mind. And according to the officer, on December 23rd, she said, go ahead and type up those warrants, my boy. I want to press charges. Now Stefon Diggs is facing criminal charges. No one has been convicted of anything, but these are extremely serious charges. If convicted, that strangulation alone can carry about 5 years in prison. Assault and battery each can carry about 2 years each. So yes, very real charges, very real case. Welcome back to
we got us another one. Another NFL player, another rapper, another celebrity, another man in a position where he pretty much has life handed to him on a silver platter. You put the work in, you went to college, you did the reps, you earned that money. You earned that spot on that team. But here you are under the microscope for putting your hands on a woman. How many times have we been down this road? Oh man. Jose, man, how you feeling, man? Initial thoughts listening to this case, bro.
It's just not right at all. Like, to put your hands on a woman is I feel like no matter what the woman throws at you, you must hold your ground. Even if they test your manhood, even if they didn't mean to get under your skin, you must hold your composure at all costs, because it's detrimental, not only to your soul, but to your mind, to your reputation, and everything that comes between. It's mind-boggling to me, because me personally, I would never put my hands on a woman, and I've been tested multiple times, but I never did it because I held my ground and I said, you know what, I'm not going to put my hands on you. I'm just going to walk away.
Coach, we got another story where a woman is saying that a man essentially put his hands on her. This ain't new. This is a story that we've seen a million times. what's your initial thoughts on this?
My initial thoughts is seems like an unprofessional relationship. They both lack professionalism. The chef shouldn't have put herself in a compromising position. Initially, those are my thoughts. Use better discernment. Looking at the text messages, she said that place was a circus. So she had already identified it was a problem within the household and lacked structure. So yeah, it sounds like there's a lot more missing. And then again, lacking in the professionalism, putting both of them into that situation. At first glance of the video, that's what I see.
You know what I don't like about this? It's the fact that we've been down this road so many times. I've lost track. Any one of us can scroll through social media history, or we could just freestyle off the top of our head how many cases we've seen or discussed about things like this. And it's like, my nigga, you done seen people go through this before. How is it that you could see somebody go through this prior to you and still you don't even learn yourself how to stay out of the shit? How do you end up in the same boat as the other 5, 10, 15 people? I never understood it. Like, look, oh shit, oh, this is what happens when you deal with that type. All right, I know what to stay away from. Nah, y'all just keep doing it. I think it's very unprofessional. I think a lot of these people, when they do business with each other, they don't handle it properly. Almost like you try to be friends, or you get way too comfortable with making this a cozy, well, since you're going to be under my roof, I want you to feel like this is like kind of like your home, but not your home, but I want you to feel comfortable around me, you know? And you got to separate business with pleasure. You can't have everybody in your space and expect them to be like your childhood friends and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So like with this, my first thoughts is, here we go again. We shouldn't even be here in the first place. And now what do we do moving forward? Based on the conversation piece, the information that was provided, her waiting days later to say something, do you think there's a strong chance that this is going to be in his favor or hers? Like, how do you kind of look at the outcome of this?
You can look at the outcome from any way you want, just looking at this video. She foot stomped on the 14 days, but you can't shame or criticize somebody on their timeline to process whatever version of trauma that they went through. So you can hypothetical and you can say whatever you want when you didn't go through the trauma as to when you would have done something, when you would have turned yourself in, etc. So it's always easy to say, but who knows, man? They got to go through the process, the legal process. They got text messages. They obviously had a relationship of some kind, both professional and unprofessional. So you can't prevent things like this. You know, and I'll just focus on the chef because you can't confuse being a talent with owning a business or running a business. Just because you're talented don't mean you can run a business, because there's so many errors that they had right before this. If you're running a business, why don't you have your lawyers involved? When you know, What type of payroll do you have set up? I mean, there's so many red flags right here. Again, we're just in the day and the age of everybody saying they own a company in the business or LLC, and they don't really know what it means to run a business. There's so many moving parts, there's so many facets, and those are probably all things that could have been eliminated leading up to this. Obviously building up off emotion, not getting paid, probably some other innuendo stuff that was going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. But you can look at the text messages and the emotion in the texts and tell how the exchanges were going, that there was other type of relationship had. But again, putting those processes in place, actually getting people to work those things for you so that you're not working it. So that way you don't mix business with pleasure, separate church and state. You don't have those issues. But again, people are talented, not necessarily business savvy. So you have all these issues that lead up to, all this stuff that's happening.
We just had a conversation about a social media streamer. I can't remember her name. And she accused the dude of sexually assaulting her, and that came out to be false. She shut down her whole social media. And it's like we keep having these situations where, and I don't want to minimize what you said, but it's like we keep having these cases where women will lie and say, oh, well, he did this to me. But then we find out this was not accurate. And we don't want to diminish that. I don't want nobody to ever think that I'm okay with a man putting his hands on another female, because that's some cowardice shit. You don't have to go that far. You shouldn't even ever put yourself in that position. You're a millionaire, my nigga. You set for life. You don't have to ever work again, ever. You know,
like that gives you, but you keep throwing the money out there like that's going to make him more educated and knowledgeable. You still be rich and ignorant, rich and dumb. Just because you're a millionaire don't mean you got common sense. People tend to do that a lot. You throw the money out there, that don't mean you set for life. You just got a lot of money in your bank account. That don't mean you're gonna make better decisions.
I mean, like my point is, like, you should know that people are going to try to sabotage you. They're going to try to come up off of you. They're going to try to bait you in. They're going to try to put shit on your name. Cardi B just got sued a few months ago by somebody, and she beat the case. Like, people are doing everything in their power to get an easy check. That's my only point. And it's like, you got people around you. You got family. You got friends. You got teammates. I'm saying, I'm not talking about specifically for him, just universally. Most of us have somebody around us that's saying you need to kind of be a little wary of this and that and the third. And I agree. Some of these people have proven that they're fucking dumb, unfortunately. But even me,
are they dumb or are they just going through experiences, man? You know what I'm saying? It's easy to call people names when everybody don't learn at the same rate. So everybody's going through their experiences when they go through them. You know what I'm saying? You can't expect everybody don't go through the same stuff at the same time. And then when you go through it, you don't come out with the same results.
So you mean to tell me you go to you're in elementary school, you're in high school, college, your father or somebody, they put you in a program. You say, I want to be a professional football player. So what does that take? It takes discipline. It takes focus. You can't be distracted. You have to lock in. You mean to tell me this man or someone in that position, you got the discipline and the wherewithal to be on that field for 8-9 hours, training and practicing how to throw the football accurate, or how to catch and run routes and do all that. But when it comes to deciphering whether or not a person has the best intentions for you, your brain is like a tin can.
Dude, you just answered your own question. You started out by saying this is a recurring thing that keeps happening over and over and over again. So if it keeps happening over and over and over again with the same demographic that you just identified, rappers, athletes, there's obviously a pattern. Obviously, they're not getting it. It's the same shit over and over again. You just said that. What are you talking about? So obviously, yes, there's a pattern. Look at where they come from. It's not, you don't have to. Athletes now are more smarter than they were back in the day. So you can't just throw them all in a box and say they were dumb jocks like they used to say back in when we were younger. But the most successful athletes are the ones that's hungrier than the other ones. They come from a more low, less income housing area than other ones. Their environment is typically, fight or flight. I either make this or my family doesn't eat. It's typically those ones that's out there playing ball in the snow, shoveling the snow. You know what I'm saying? Playing ball in the rain. You never see them without a ball. That discipline you're talking about, because the discipline is only in that area for me to play ball and get us up out of this environment. The discipline isn't being in a whole person and exercising the whole person concept. He's not saying I need to be the best theologist, the best mathematician. He said I need to have a fucking jump shot so I can get out of this neighborhood and this environment. So the discipline is on that one particular item. So that's what I'm saying when you say they should know. Why should they know? And then if those are the people that are around you, what do they know other than making sure you got the items that you need in order to be successful at the game that you want to play? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, you can't just say you should know that, and then because you got money now, half these people you listen to them, they're getting beat out of money from agents. They're getting beat out of something because they don't know, they're not smart enough how to pick the best person to help them with their finances. So they ain't millionaires for life. So if they ain't got people to help them with the finances, then who the fuck's helping them with their mental health and all this other stuff that they need help with? So we can't just say they should know and everything should be good because they're in a higher tax bracket. That's all I'm saying.
Zay, what you got? What's your thoughts? How you feeling?
Well, we all saw what happened to Jonathan Majors, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's for him allegedly not even doing what he was arrested for. Now imagine you have someone that potentially actually did what he was arrested for. Now everything changed. That whole circumstance changed. Now you got eyes on him because he's known for being the aggressive type, because of his field, But it all comes down to if he did it or not. Because the reports out there, the new people is covering it, but we truly don't know if this dude strangled the woman. We truly don't know. He wasn't there. So all we got is speculation. But at the end of the day, what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. Based on what's given, it doesn't seem that he's aware that what he was doing was wrong. And the woman, the chef in the situation, seems like she just wants to be heard, but she's scared because there's so many hands in the pot now. First she started with the police report. Now it's being covered all over social media now. Someone as big as Stefon Diggs, he's bound to get eyes on it. So now she don't know what to do. She's, struggling with the fact that she was in the situation. She tried to speak her truth, and now it's all over the place. And there are things in set. That's why, I stay away from the NFL. I like the games, but I stay away from the NFL because behind the scenes it's so structured. It's so structured. And they hide things on purpose. But they also put things out in the world on purpose. Like we all saw what happened to Kaepernick. They do things on purpose. So we gotta be mindful that even though there's evidence presented, you never know what actually happened behind the scenes.
I don't like this. I'd be scared as hell to have anybody around me that's a millionaire. I don't care if I was a NFL player or NHL player. I don't care if I played golf. I'd be scared as hell to have anybody around me that wasn't in my immediate circle. I watch TV. I watch too much TV. And I see, like, for real, I see too much shit. First 48, forensic files, all that shit. Niggas be real snakes and shiesty as hell. Just me watching that, like, I don't have to be a scholar and have a bunch of gurus around me telling me about life to be my own observer. I see how people backstab and betray each other. It be right there in your household. So me even knowing that without having the extra training, I'd be scared as hell to have or be introduced to somebody. Who? Nah, I don't know you. Oh, you want me to talk to who? Nah, I'm good. That's your friend. That ain't mine. I wouldn't like, nah. It's a good thing I know how to cook for myself. It's a good thing I know how to wash my ass. I know how to wash my own clothes. I'll be a billionaire still washing my own shit, doing my own chores, driving myself around. Because I just wouldn't be able to trust a single soul. You don't know whose intentions are pure. And that's all I'm saying with this. Now, ladies, I hate this for y'all. And I hate this for you because a lot of you really go through shit. Coach said it so eloquently. You like we will prefer you to just tell somebody right away, but we can't tell people when and how to do it. It don't work like that. We have to figure that out on our own, and we have to do it in our own way. And there's a number of reasons why a person would withhold information like that. The problem I have with this is I feel sorry for you guys because one, for whatever, or I ain't gonna say for whatever reason, there's a multitude of reasons. You don't feel safe or comfortable enough to be able to express what's happening to you. You have others in your community that make up convoluted stories that destroy people's lives, and their lies make it harder for people to believe you. So now you have more of an uphill battle trying to convince people of the abuse. So I, like you said, Zay, we don't know if it happened or it didn't happen. If he did it, lock his ass up.
Hey, let me tag in real quick. Just to touch on your point, because you said you didn't have any extra training, and I just want to capitalize on that. It don't matter what training you get, all you're doing is being given examples of somebody else's experiences. So start learning how to identify. I say to people is I learn how to identify with your experiences that you've been through, how they made you feel, how you felt. And then that's how you can start identifying the type of behaviors that's going on around you and within your household. And then you start learning, the type of stuff that you're going through versus that's where it starts. When you actually start to go to training and you see a professional and they start sharing experiences that start going along with titles, then you can start relating to some of the things that you're going through, because a lot of people will be going through stuff and don't even know what they're going through. So, like you just mentioned, having extra training. So the whole point is learning how to identify with the experiences that you've gone through in life, and starting with what they either taught you or the negative things that you learned from it. And that's when the training and the hunger for knowledge starts right there within yourself. So, that's that self-reflecting right there. So I just want to take an opportunity to say, you don't need special training. Just learn how to look within and identify your emotions and how you feel, and start there. And then once you start to understand that, that's when you'll get that hunger to try to figure out more. And then you reach out, to a professional or somebody, or you can start reaching out to people around you and asking about, the feelings that you actually have. Because that's the one thing that causes these things you asked earlier is, what puts people in these types of situations. And it's people going through experiences and they hold them. So like she held that experience for 14 days. She had that experience. And then you talked about having that support system and the people that's around. So has she shared that experience with somebody that was in a support system, you understand, or within the company she worked for, leadership, HR, human resources, you know what I'm saying? So those are the things that you have when you're working in large companies and corporations as a W-2 employee versus a 1099. So that's why I said people got to understand it's a difference between talent and having a small business or a company, because you have other entities in place to take care of these things. If you don't have these things in place, you miss the steps and the signs leading up to how you could end up not getting paid and potentially, strangled by somebody or, allegedly whatever other the charges are. So, again, being proactive versus reactive.
Well said. I want to just address CJ his question real quick. Just I know it's a side quest.
Nah, I get it. It's a good one.
I mean, bro, you're supposed to treat everybody equally. You treat them how they treat you. You move accordingly. The violence is never the answer. That's a last resort for anything. The only time you resort to that, to me, is life or death, or you have to defend yourself to a certain degree. You're not supposed to let people walk over you. You're not supposed to let them talk to you in any kind of way, but you also have to stand your ground and you have to be stoic. Nobody really has much respect for weak-minded people. They take advantage of that. Put it in perspective. You treat them how you would want to be treated in turn. I think everybody wants to be treated with respect. Now, here's the caveat. What's to say that you're going to always get that? It's not likely. How do you deal with that then? Well, you have boundaries and you have standards. And based on your boundaries and your standards, that's how you have to treat the situation. If you're not getting the respect that you want, then guess what? Most likely, they're not for you. And that's okay. There's somebody out there that will be for you, whether it's a friend or a business partner or whatever the case may be. You send them on their way. No hard feelings. There's no need to crash out. There's no need to raise your voice or get to a point to where you're on the news for putting your hands on someone because they can't regulate their feelings or emotions, or because they move a certain way that is not conducive to your life. If that helps any. If anybody want to add to that, you're more than welcome. Shout outs to There's Nothing to Freak Out About.
Yeah, I'll get in there for a second. I would start with talking to that individual instead of trying to guess and figure out how they want to be treated. And the flip side is they might not even know how they want to be treated. But you can't go wrong with having that conversation, establishing that dialogue. That could be your launching point. Give you something to work with. She says she like this, and then you slowly introduce her to some different things. And again, it's all about the messenger, not necessarily the message. So it's in the delivery. But the simple and easiest way is have a conversation with her. Stop watching movies and thinking all women want to be treated the same, because it's all based up on their upbringing, how they were natured versus nurtured. That's important. So start with conversation, man.
Bang, bang, bang.
Get it, Zay.
Nah, y'all both pretty much covered it, to be honest. I was just about to say the same thing, so y'all covered it. But you
My
know,
bad. I'll let you go first next time.
nah, it's. I just want to reinforce how important setting those boundaries are from the start. That's the only thing I want to enforce.
All right, let's do this. I finally make it to the big leagues. To prevent something from happening like this story I'm talking about, or we don't want to repeat a Shannon Sharp situation, right? What do you do to prevent this from happening to you? Because I'm gonna tell you right now.
You first, Zay.
Hold on, I got you, bro. I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm so grateful that I was brought up to do things on my own and to take care of myself. And I'm more so grateful of the hardships and the struggles because it made me appreciate it. It makes me look at things a little different. So I won't be so dependent on other people to take care of me. So it might vary for most people. I don't think for me personally, I could ever have that type of lifestyle and I would ever depend on someone. I'm not going to have a maid coming out every other week to take care of my underwear and all that stuff. I would just be cool and content with doing all that stuff myself. But there's people that's not going to do that. They're going to want to rely on other people. How would you move forward doing these business deals? Or how would you move forward to protect yourself from having this happen to you?
Like you're saying from the chef's perspective or
Right.
Dig's perspective?
Bro-
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I would say because it seems like she was just thrown into that situation. So I feel like especially when it comes to money, I will, tell Stefon from the start. This is when I want to be paid. Like I understand you're my boss, but you know, this is how I want to get paid. This is how this is the days that you want to pay me on this day, so I'm gonna need you to stick to that date. I'm here for a service. I'm here to provide you that service. So I expect payment right then and there. Set those boundaries from the start because she could have easily avoided this if she. Because I don't know. In my opinion, I don't think this happened the first time. You know, so this might be the first time she spoke up about it, but I don't think this is the first time he didn't pay her. In my opinion, unless it is. If it is the first time, then she was thrown into a situation that she thought she can handle, but it didn't. It seems like the situation got the best of her. So, in my opinion, if I was put in that same position, because I have been put in that same position, I would just say, "Hey, you didn't pay me. I'm gonna need you to pay me right now. I don't like the way you're talking to me. I don't like the way you're treating me. I don't like the way you talk. Just speak up." And I'm glad that she spoke up because if she didn't spoke up, she would have still been in that same situation. She spoke up, and That's kudos to her. So I would do the same thing she's in, but probably in a little more earlier in the relationship or the partnership. But I will still do the same thing. But I will also move in silence. See, I'm different. I like to move in silence. But yeah, I'm gonna end it there.
How can you be a bad businessman with all that money? Like, my nigga, I know you hate that I bring up money a lot, but my thing is, why is she even having any type of complaints about being paid? It ain't like you struggling for nothing. So I got to be missing something here. Are you really like, oh, you don't really want to give her pay? You feel like what would put this timeline together where she's cooking all your meals, she's making sure she's holding up her end of the bargain, unless you're saying she's not. But if she's holding up her end of the bargain, what would prompt you to say nah? Just say I can't do it. It's not working. They go back. Go ahead.
No, what was the question you asked, Zay? I didn't know if you wanted us both to
Oh no!
answer.
Oh no! My original question was, if you are Stefon Diggs, how do you prevent this from even being a topic?
Oh yeah. I had a whole speech and everything. You just kicked me
Oh,
to the curb and took over, man. Hey, first thing I just wanted to reply to what you said earlier about having people working for you, and then think about being in America, baby. It's all about perspective, because you can look at it as employing people, or you can look at it as people that's folding your laundry and your socks and your clothes. So it's all about perspective, because those are actually the jobs out here. So it's not really necessarily a bad thing. And then I don't care about you talking about money. I was just giving you a different perspective, because just because you got money, it doesn't give you knowledge. That's all I was trying to say. Yeah, I don't care about the money itself, but to stop that. So let's use, for example, to prevent this from happening, right? So I'm gonna ask you some questions. You guys can yay, nay, or you don't have to say anything. But I'm gonna say, Stefon Diggs, he's a pro athlete, and he has to have some of these qualities, right? These are strengths: confident and driven. He has to be results oriented, thrives on challenge, and he has to take action. So I'm gonna say some of his weaknesses are impatient and argumentative, overpowering, dislikes routine other than the workout regimen and what he's doing, which also makes him a workaholic. And then the problem he has is probably an ego. Does that make sense so far? So in order for him to stay focused, he probably needs to be challenged, which is people constantly coming up with things, probably the incentive in his contract, different things like that to get paid. And then he needs to have some level of control, because you just talk about everything we talked about that comes with control. You being able to do those things that he can be motivated by, challenging control, win stall, jumpstart his energy by competition. Then his blind spot could be put people before goals. Does that make sense? And then key strengths to leverage him, motivating people to action and decisiveness. These are things that he needs as key strengths. So what we just talked about was the way he treated the chef. So put people before your goals. So whatever his goal was, taking care of the chef first should have been the objective. She cooks for you. She makes sure your nutrients and everything are good to go. That way your calorie intake, your protein intake, everything's good. So he's lacking in that area. In order for him to stay focused, he needs to stay challenged, and he also needs to be in control. The control methodology or mechanism would be by controlling the way when and how she gets paid. So like Zay said, that probably wasn't the first time. It probably was the time where she got pissed off and frustrated because it kept happening over and over. There lacks the unprofessionalism on her part and his part, but her part, because if you get a check, why are you still doing the work? You know what I mean? is this a business? This is a hobby. You just happy to be here. And then if you're just happy to be here, it goes into how he treats her as far as an employee or her small business. Again, it shouldn't be him. It should be his representation, not him. So that goes again to unprofessionalism because they're personally connected, right? She's just preparing the meals. She doesn't even have to be there. So that it's so much that goes into it, right? So then you start talking about impatient and argumentative. Argumentative, you look at the text message and the text thread. So the point is, all of that being said, his personality is a D-type personality. So what I would do is get my personality explained to me, therefore I can explain it to somebody else. Now we can communicate back and forth. It's a cheat sheet. You know my triggers, you know what motivates me, you know what pisses me off, you know how to get me, you know, amped up or whatever the case may be. And in return, you give me yours. And then I know the things that pisses you off and I know the things that can trigger you. And so now that we're sharing and we're communicating, going back and forth, it should be fluid versus everything she did is she hit everything that triggers him and sets him off. Hence his reaction, not justifying his reaction, just explaining his reaction. And that goes what happens in the communication, lack thereof, if you don't know how to communicate properly with somebody. So everything she probably thought she was doing, she was hitting all the triggers to piss him off and send him into orbit and to not pay her, call her the B word. I think he spelled it wrong. And then some other stuff that happened in the text thread that you saw. So that's why it's important for the communication piece to tie all in together. And then you can reach me at realorlive.org, Coach Trail.
Yeah, to be honest with you, he shouldn't even been doing business with her. He should have had a third party involved in that. In layman's term, I wouldn't even want to. Yeah, I wouldn't want to touch none of that shit.
Like you said, you're rich. That's work for people that work below you. That should be connected, creating your schedules, taking care of your contacts, paying out your bills and your roles, responsibilities. So that's where you can tell that the unprofessional relationship was happening between the chef and the client.
Exactly. Zay, let me ask you a question, man. What do you say to women who are really being abused, but you see stories like this and other ones that make it harder for them to express themselves because, it's a celebrity, so nobody's going to believe me, or this girl from 2 miles away, she lied about it, so nobody's going to believe me, but I'm really in a life or death situation. And we see these women are getting killed, snatched up in there and all that, and nobody's taking their word for it because we got too much of, this person is lying, so how should I know if this person is telling the truth? What do you say to somebody who is stuck in a situation where they don't know how they're supposed to maneuver with that?
Turn to God. When you got no one to talk to, no one to vouch for you, no one to be there to be your support, there's only one person, one force that will always listen and always correct those that are doing the wrong things. It might not be at your timing, but it will happen. If you're willing to speak to God about it, He will do it. That's how you can build your relationship with Him too. By being honest, be upfront, telling them how you feel. If you are abused, don't sit there and take it. Speak up about it. Don't give a fuck about who's listening. Speak up. It's so underrated because so many women are being forced or judged they're being silenced because they are thrown into these situations and they know that the person that's doing the abusing has more power over them, but they neglect the fact that they themselves have power because they were taken away. The power was taken away by the abuser, but you have the power to reclaim that power. by staying true to yourself, stay true to God, and keep moving forward. Don't shrink because this abuser told you to shrink. That's what I gotta say.
And that was powerful, man. Well said. I'll just say that I think that because you started out by asking, and if it turns out to be false allegations, or if people know that they're false, I think just like they're so quick to troll people and to throw people under the bus for whatever that's going on in today's world, they should call out those people that lie and manipulate and do that as well. Because again, it goes to accountability. And then if you're going through something, I think you gotta these companies that are out here, these 1-800 hotlines for sexual assault victims, for SARC victims, suicide hotlines. You gotta put more stock into those hotlines, man. You gotta get people to reach. If they can't reach out at home and don't have a safe space, you gotta keep promoting and educating people to reach out to those types of hotlines. And I think that it should be mandatory, just like fire drills used to be, talking about sexual assault and those type of things. You got to have the hard conversations, because if you're having the hard conversations at home and then it's something that's reiterated, it becomes a pattern, it becomes muscle memory. To if you see something, say something, or if you go through something, talk to somebody about it. If you put that type of stuff in your mind and you keep bringing it up, it becomes muscle memory. And I think that's the way you got to go about protecting people nowadays, because just out here where I'm at alone, it's been about 3 young ladies that went missing in the last week and a half. You know what I mean? And everybody comes about after the fact saying that they identified something was off or going wrong. So you just got to get away from that type of culture, man, and start convincing people to say something. And don't penalize people for saying something, because that's the issue as well. Is when people go to say something, they don't want to get the repercussions from actually speaking up and trying to help somebody, because they get shamed just as bad as the victim does.
We do need to start holding people accountable. Like I'm really fed up with that shit. Like people really be spending 20, 30 plus years in jail over things that they ain't do. And these specific women, they're
craziest shit in the world, man.
Yeah. I got a church brother, man. He spent 20 in jail for something he ain't do. And it's like the woman didn't even get any type of ramifications behind it. It was like a slap on the wrist and his testimony. And my thing is, all right, you're telling the public that there is no real true justice, or you're giving us the impression that you don't really care about the stuff that you say. Like you're telling us that you want to get criminals off the street and you want to do right by us, but you're not really applying that pressure that you're supposed to be. So we're looking at this shit like, man, what the fuck? You ain't doing nothing. So if you're not going to do nothing, why would I have any type of faith in you to do anything for me? I might as well just go out here and play vigilante. Let me put on my Batman mask and cape and go out here and do it myself. And that's fucked up.
Yeah, because so just like right now, everybody's the buzzword, just because you mentioned the role, right? So again, roles and responsibilities is important. We don't have anybody within us in those systems who actually care. If you don't have minorities or black people or whoever it is that's being unjustly treated in those systems, applying for jobs, trying to also gain access to those systems so they can make change internally. You know what I mean? Then I don't. It's kind of putting the cart before the horse. Or what are we complaining about? Because everybody want to be rappers and fucking basketball players and all this other stuff, but we don't got nobody out there trying to get trades, working fire departments, police departments, all these other things. So you go to certain cities, certain unions are ran by certain people, Italians, Polacks, depending on where you at, New York, Chicago, wherever the case may be. So I just think, again, it just goes back to unlearning the stuff that we learn, man, and re-educating people and about what's important. And then once they do things that are important, they'll start to feel important, because it's the reason why they don't feel important. They're not being taught those type of things within the household. So, and then you go to school. If you even go to school and get a job, you ain't getting a job that you actually want. So you don't feel good about yourself every day. So, I mean, it's a vicious cycle that's been happening over and over and over again. You know what I mean? So again, it's the education piece. We start talking about things, then it goes back to the lack of education. So without self-worth and pride, people don't want to do better. They don't think they can be better.
What does this look like after the smoke settles? This is about to be a long case. I don't know how long. It's about to be in the media for a little minute. You're going to see your clips. You're going to see people having various conversations about this. When the smoke and the dust settles, then we have a verdict, a definitive response and delegation. What does this look like moving forward? Not only just for Stefon Diggs, but for athletes, musicians, producers, artists, men and women. How does this look for the rest of us moving forward afterwards? Is this going to be something that we figure out right away, or are we just going to continue to make the same choices and mistakes over and over and over again?
In my opinion, I feel like the cycle repeats until we have another George Floyd, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Shit. So negative. I got that shit got dark as fuck. Shit. Nah, but a lot of, I think in the last 2 months alone, I've counted a few females that done got killed. That shit is crazy, man.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think we're in a time where they have expressed themselves to be so independent and that they don't need anybody. Now you don't necessarily have that community where, people are looking out for everybody, or, men may or less per se be looking out for women, because they've stressed that they don't need anybody. They can do everything on their own. They can do all these things. And so now you're in a time where, over the last 5 to 6 years, a lot of people have been able to infiltrate the country. A lot of the borders have been open. A lot of things have changed out here on these streets. And so you don't have just the regular folks that they used to be. And then these younger kids or the younger adults, they're not necessarily accustomed to growing up outside environment, especially after it was shut down for, so long. So you had, again, we talked about experiences being education. That experience of being outside, they missed. It was all inside. So they grew up in isolation, not necessarily being exposed to the necessarily quote unquote good or bad experiences. So they don't have that to reflect on. So now the perception is that they're almost becoming prey from not having the experiences like you mentioned earlier, growing up in an austere environment or an area where it might not necessarily have all the best resources for you. And it forces you to start to think on your own, and forces you to go through problem solving scenarios. That didn't happen. And so now when people, they don't even assess going outside the same, you know what I mean? Like, it's about to get dark. Should I go make a move here? Should I go do that? There's no fear. Everybody just kind of shakes and moves however they want to. They don't think about what can actually happen. And I think we talk about it a lot, from the men's perspective, because they may talk a lot of trash online and be trolls. And then that's why you hear people say, oh, they just need to get punched in the face. Well, same concept. If you look at some of the younger women that haven't had the experience of being outside and engaging with people with, rude behavior, learning how to trust and not trust people. So I think with that lack of experience, now they're going outside and then now they're falling victim to whatever situations that may be taking place out there in those streets.
I want to play this clip here real quick. It was something that I had covered like 2 months ago on Jason Derulo. Because he was in a situation almost similar. I don't know the real extreme extent of it, but he had to learn the hard way. And he did an interview and he expressed himself. So I want to play this and then we can give like our closing remarks on this whole story. Shout out to everybody that actually tapped in tonight. Appreciate God for being here with us. This is serious. I want people to learn from their mistakes. We can walk away from this stuff. There's no reason why we have to end up on the front of a TV program because we don't know how to separate our personal from our business. You should never be in a situation where someone can accuse you of something and then everything is over with. Your life is done. Your brand is done. All that hard work, done. Nobody trusts you. Nobody looks at you the same anymore. This right here is just a little food for thought. Why like these conversations are so important and why we should really joke around with it.
Not too long ago by an artist that was like hired to your label that was dismissed
twice.
What did you learn going through that?
Never work with women.
Oh, come on.
There's truth in every joke. But it's a sad truth. Like I will never be alone in a room with a woman that I work with, like ever again.
Why?
It's too risky. That case was dismissed twice in 2 different states. And there's hardly no mention of it online. When that case was brought up, it was on every single blog, every single front page. And I lost so many brand deals, relationships off of a story that was not even slightly believable. She said I sacrificed a goat in a sexual ritual. All people read was the headline, right? And that's all it takes to lose everything. That's a crazy concept. I lost millions of dollars off of an arbitrary story that some woman told. Like a crazy, crazy story that some woman told. So, with that being said, how can I be comfortable being in a room with a woman that I work with and not feel like she can just say whatever she wants? It's like it's not worth it to me.
There's a lawsuit not
My final thoughts. I take domestic abuse, mental abuse of any kind extremely serious, man or woman. Nobody should be putting their hands on a single soul out here. I think it's very immature very childish and exhausting when people abuse their positions of power. And I'm not talking about finances. I'm talking about just you being born the way that you are, whether or not you're a man or a woman or you identify as a fucking coconut. I think it's an issue when you abuse the privileges that are awarded to you to manipulate the system to benefit you by capitalizing off of someone else's hard-earned success, by playing on someone's weaknesses and their kindness and their generosity. You are the worst kind of fucking people because you make it harder for everybody else that's out here really trying to do right. And then they look and it's like, damn, I can't catch a break. All of y'all should be locked up or you should be examined. You need to go to counseling. You need to be in some type of program. And we need to start holding them accountable. They need to be put on the spotlight. Don't care about the snitch code. I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. Tell them all they ass. All of them. There should be a registry. We should be able to go online and see who falsely accused people of certain things and they lied about it. We should know exactly who these people are. That way we don't have so many of these problems again. That goes for paternity fraud. That goes for malpractice. That goes for being a false prophet, all that. Put all of them on the registry. Y'all playing with people's life. And that ain't it. That's not adult. That's not grown. I yield the mic if anybody want to wrap up with any final thoughts.
Go ahead, Zay.
Not like 100% agree. You know, it's mind-boggling that there are people out there that will literally be so greedy and negative to a point where you're willing to sabotage someone else's career to do so. And it's not even the fact that you're sabotaging their career, you're also paving the way for negativity to arise. You're taking the light off of the real victims that are actually going through something and they're actually being abused. They're actually out there hurt every day, but they're afraid to speak up because of people like you. So I strongly urge to whoever is like the person that we described, change your ways. Because that doesn't, if you believe in God and you do that, that's not going to get you to heaven. That's going to get you to hell. But if you don't believe in it, then you should seriously reevaluate your life, because this is why you're in the position that you are. That's why you're picking greed over righteous, because there's a lack of accountability, a lack of knowing what's right and what's wrong. You know in your heart what you're doing is wrong, but you still do it. You're still willing to take down someone else just because they have more status, more money, more character than you. That's not the way. It will never be the way. Ever.
Okay, man, you smoked that, man. Both of y'all. All right. I just say learn how to identify the situation before you put yourself into it, because it's easier to navigate and pivot versus trying to explain afterwards. And then just simple, business etiquette. It doesn't matter if it's male, female, male, whatever. 3 people in the room. That way you can have a mediator or a non-biased opinion as far as for what's going on. So just helping people out there that might have a small business or they may find themselves in a situation. It's always good to have a non-biased person in the room. That way you got because there's always 3 sides to a story. Their side, and the truth. And then it boils down to integrity, doing the right thing when nobody's around. And you're based on your integrity will be how strong your credibility is. And I think that's something that the online community has taken away, is the need to have credibility, because you can say whatever, do whatever, log off and keep it moving. And like a hurricane or a tornado, after you're gone, you come back tomorrow and see all the debris and the devastation that you left behind. So that's definitely something to keep in mind, is we need to make sure we start emphasizing how important integrity is and credibility. If you don't have credibility, and it goes back to what you said about the people that are falsely accusing people of things, strip away their credibility. You won't keep doing those things if nobody believes you. We don't believe you. You need more people. You know what I mean? So just keep it simple. I really don't think it's something we have to overthink. And it just goes back to holding people accountable. If you see somebody that's doing something and they're not necessarily making the best decision, don't go home and talk about it with your people. Identify it and use tact. Find a way to make it adjustable, so that way they can understand that it's coming from a place of understanding and love and care, that you're trying to help them and benefit them to become the best version of themselves. And you're not trying to take them down, because that's typically what people think, is every time somebody provides feedback, it's an attack onto their character and their belief system. So, hey, Happy New Year. Appreciate y'all for having me.
Likewise. This was a good one. Hell of a good show, man. Appreciate everybody who tapped in, man. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe to the channel if you're not already following. I appreciate y'all for being here. We spinning back tomorrow. Make sure you tap in. More to come. We got a lot to cover this year, Lord willing. Make sure you hit that bell. We'll be back, Lord willing. I had to make sure I wasn't on mute. I seen the drink come over, and shit, I seen the private message. I was like, oh shit, I fucked up. Hey, look, real quick before I go, because I did a stream yesterday, right? An hour stream, and I forgot for a half an hour I was talking to myself. I didn't know for a half an hour. I had to cut that whole first half and do a whole nother stream. Bro, I was pissed.
There go them good experiences again.
Yeah. But it's all love, man. Appreciate y'all for hanging out. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all evening, man. You need to reach me. You know where I'm at. Oh, do me a solid before y'all go.
What's the goddamn button?
Peace.